Hi, I've been following along with Paul McWhorter's Raspberry Pi Pico lessons, and this week we were getting started with our OLED, and Paul showed us how to get it up and running. And then he um, told us he wanted us to draw a circle on it. And I don't blame him for being wrong on this, but it turns out that MicroPython has just actually put a method in their um, uh, frame buffer class to draw ellipses. I almost got this video out first, but Charlotte got a one out first, and she was saying that she was looking at frame buffer documentation, and she says, "Oh, well, I got ellipse," and then she went through the process of doing it in the shell to find out what methods were available, and she said, "Well, it's just not there," and she blamed MicroPython for uh, not having it available. And what it is that since we've been doing 25 weeks of lessons with Paul, they've actually updated the MicroPython to include this. So people that uploaded their MicroPython and never updated their Pico, the MicroPython on their Pico, don't have this available. So luckily, I had bought a pack of 5 PicoWs, and I wanted to do some projects with them, and I had just finished breaking a new one in and getting the new Python put on it about, oh, I don't know, less than a month ago. And so mine actually has that available. Um, so Charlotte almost beat me to it, but I can actually show it working. She showed how she found the documentation, and I did the exact same thing yesterday. Went through and found it just exactly the same way she did, but I was lucky enough to have an updated MicroPython on my PicoW, and it actually works. So that's kind of cool. Um, I've been working on this way too long, and been because I didn't think there was one either. Just looking on the internet, nobody was talking about this ellipse or circle function that's available. I guess it's fairly new. I don't know when they actually put it in. But anyhow, I've been spending time trying to find different ways of drawing circles and uh, interested in watching. There's probably been a half a dozen or more videos put out by students here, and they all seem to have a different way of doing it. And I said, wow, that's kind of cool. And there's all these different ways. And I just decided that I was going to make some functions on it, and how to how they worked and which ones were faster, because it's real easy to time down to the nearest microsecond. You got milliseconds, which is 1,000th of a second, and then you got microseconds, which is 1 millionth of a second. So you can do timing. I'm going to show that in my code, where you can do timing to see how long these things work. And to be honest, the math and everything doesn't take that long. But what takes time is transferring it over to the uh, the OLED via I²C. That's it's a serial transfer type thing, and goes out over one pin. So it takes a while. So anyhow, I'm going to show you that it just the even with using the built-in method, is long while is relative, because it's still in the not too many milliseconds range. So anyhow, so I'm going to get it going. I'll go to the Thorny, and I guess I probably should do the same thing Charlotte did first. So I'm going to go down here. I'm going to, from here, copy, and we're going to paste it in our shell. And then I think she said dir, and it's SSD 13. 06 underscore I2C. And and as you can see, ellipse is included now. We have ellipse and we have a poly. So you can make a polygon out of it. Not a polygon, but a irregular polygon. And even scroll text and stuff like that. So they've been put one or two at least new things in here since Charlotte had hers. So anyhow, I guess the next thing to do is to show it. I guess I need to bring up my OLED. You can see it's blank. And so I guess we'll go over to code first. So the code is just importing on, and then we're doing, you know, on doing what we got to do. So here's our timing code. So if you do get a variable with the ticks microseconds to start, and then you draw your ellipse, and then showing, and then you do a ticks differential, and that'll give you your elapsed time, and you can print that elapsed time out. So anyhow, so we got that's all simple. So as she was talking about, you put your center X and Y, and because it's an ellipse, you can make it a flattened circle or a skinny tall circle or whatever by making these two different. But if you make them the same, then it's going to draw the circle. And then of course you just put the one in there to draw it. And this last one is whether it's going to be filled or not. So we can do a filled circle and a unfilled circle just with one line of code. So we'll go ahead and run this. Oh yeah, let me show my OLED. I don't know how it's going to show up here. Hopefully it's going to show up. So I'm going to hit run. And there's our circle. And you can see from our screen that it took, this is in microseconds. So this is the first 3 are microseconds. And then you got, so 26 milliseconds is how long it's taken to draw these. And we can actually, like I said, down here, I'm just doing the sleep and for 10 seconds and then turn it off so their screen's blank when we finish. So if we take our ellipse time and move that from here to here, we can see actually how long it actually takes to plot the point. So this is plotting it in our buffer, and then this is actually taking the buffer and moving it over to the OLED. So the buffer is just a byte array that you're doing. So I'm going to cut that out of there, and I'm going to paste it in after this. So now we're just timing how long it actually takes to generate the ones that we have in there. So again, we got our OLED, and if we run it, so we got the circle drawn. Now this is in microseconds, so it's less than a quarter of a millisecond that it's taken to actually fill that buffer up. So in essence, it really doesn't matter how many what do you call it, how you calculate, because the time is the time it takes to upload your buffer to the display. Once you get it done, that's what takes the 25 milliseconds or whatever to upload it to the display. So I mean, that's where our work is taking, what the time is taking place to update the display with the OLED.show. So it went from a quarter millisecond to 25 or 26 or whatever was on that last time. So anyhow, that's my video for this one. I'm going to make another video where I was showing all the different ways of making it, and showing that depending on what you did, the timing wasn't necessarily that big a deal. Um, uh, some of it is, but I'll get that in another video on the timings of the different methods. And uh, Charlotte showed two ways that she was making filled circle. I actually did that. Oh, and I don't think I showed you guys the filled circle. So all we have to do is change this to a 1. It's just a Boolean, or you could say true in there if you wanted to. So we'll go back to this, and now we'll run it again. And by just changing that one number, now you get a filled circle. So anyhow, for you guys that want the easy way out, update your MicroPython if you haven't done it since Paul started the lessons 25 weeks ago or whatever. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Have a great day, everybody.